the second part of the 6th episode of our video series. Today we shall be looking at the second part of the 6th episode of this video series, which captures words number 56 to number 60. For words number 56, we have which /who/whom/whose. 57, sometime, sometime. That's sometime separated and sometime joined together. Then we have somewhat and somehow. Then we have honest, sincere /frank. Then we have cloth, clothe, and clothes. Our last set of words in this episode includes cloth, clothes, clothes, clothing. Now, students need to be very careful with these words because some of them are nouns while some of them are verbs. And the surprising thing about them is that as for those of them that are nouns, when you make them singular, they can remain nouns. But when you make them plural, they may cease to be nouns and they will automatically become verbs. And some of them have plural forms and do not have singular forms. Some of them have singular forms and do not have plural forms. Now, let me try to explain what I've just said. The first word is cloth. What's the meaning of cloth? Cloth is a fabric material made from wool. Now, this word is very special because it has its complete forms, okay? It has its plural and singular form. Right, you can take it as singular and say cloth, or you take it as plural and say cloth. All right, so that is that about cloth. What about the next word? Clothes. Clothes. What's the meaning of clothes? Cloth is the finished product of cloth. In other words, a cloth that has been sewn. All right. Now, the word is important to us because despite it is a noun, all right, it doesn't have a singular form. Anytime this word appears, okay, to mean a noun, it is always in its plural form. So it is the type of nouns, all right, that have no singular form. So you always take them as clothes. And these are sewn cloth, okay, that are ready to be used for clothing. We shall get to that word here as well. Then the next word is clothe. Clothe. Now you can see that this word looks very similar to what clothes. That it looks like the singular form, all right? But take good note that this word is not the singular form of clothes. In other words, it is not a noun, it is a verb. So when this word is used in singular form, then it ceases to be a noun, it automatically, okay, changes into a verb. So when you have clothes without s, then it's a verb. But when you have clothes with s, that one is a noun. All right. Now, what's the meaning of clothes? The one without s, which is a verb. It means to put clothes on or to cover with clothing. Now, to put on the clothes that have been sewn from cloth. Right. So that is what we mean by clothes. It's an action. It's a verb. Then the last word here is clothing. What's the meaning of clothing? Clothing means clothes of a particular type or those worn in a particular situation. All right, that is what we mean by clothing. So clothing is a noun, all right, whereas clothe, the singular form, is a verb and not a noun. But the plural form of it is a noun, and this plural form is not a verb. That means you cannot use this word in the singular form. You cannot say he clothes his children with an S. No, it's going to be wrong that way. All right, so anytime it is used, it must be in plural form. That is, if it's going to be used as a verb. Now, let's look at their usage in expressions. The first one says, this cloth is very thick. Beautiful. Cloth here is used to mean a fabric material, okay, made from wool. In other words, you can say this fabric material is very thick. And don't forget, you can add s to this word to make it plural. Right, for the next one, we have I really like nice clothes. Clothes, as used here, means finished products that have been made from cloth. Alright, in other words, if a cloth has been sewn, then it becomes clothes. And don't forget that clothes, alright, if you are going to use it as a noun, it must take S. If it doesn't take S, then it ceases to be a noun. Automatically, it will become a verb. So then we have this next example. They clothe their children in the latest fashion. Right. This word is used as a verb here. Despite we have explained that this word is a verb, alright, you can begin to think that it's a verb in its plural form because it doesn't have S. It doesn't exist in its singular form. So whenever this word takes an S, it ceases to be a verb. It will automatically, change to a noun. So finally, we have she changed into the comfortable clothing. Right, clothing as used here means a general material, for covering. Like we have here, we say clothes of a particular type or worn in a particular situation, or a general material that can be used for covering, alright? So that is what we mean by clothing. This is how to use these words in expressions. So finally, let's look at their appearance in past questions. JAMB 2012. Her mother brought her some dash. A. Clothes. B. Yards. C. Cloth. D. Clothing. Let's first of all eliminate yards because this word cannot stand alone. It can only stand as a modifier of cloth. Okay, so you can say yards of cloth. So that one can go. Then we are now left with A, C, and D. If you look at the question very closely, you have brought her some. So out of these three options, the only one that can agree with some is clothes. Because when some is used, it means plural. So you cannot say some clothes. Whereas this word can take S to become plural. So it could only have been cloths with S for us to consider some. So C will go. Her mother brought her some clothing. Clothing is somehow tempting in this question, but is not normally used in this form, if you want to indicate that it is plural. So you can say clothing materials, alright, to make it plural. So if it's standing like this, her mother brought her some clothing, it cannot go as what, or it cannot go in plural context. So that is how we come to the conclusion of the second part of the 6th episode of our video series. Kindly join me in my next video where we shall be looking at the 7th episode of this 10-in-1 video series, that will take care of words number 61 to number 70. Bye for now.